tomorrow is the last day of the year.
I know. Already.
Yeah.
Let everybody know we're here. How you doing, YouTubes?
The Tube of Use.
Tube of Use. Everything
Well,
sound
everything
okay?
sounds good.
Awesome. No echo, anything like that?
Mm-mm.
Good. Alrighty. Well, I've got all my tabs are open. And
Yep, I'm
everything's
all
good to go.
set.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here
Yeah.
we go for the last show of 2024. In 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and welcome back to the last episode of 2024. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
We're here. We're at the end of the year. 2024 is almost out the door. How does it feel?
You know, I was trying to reflect back on 2024, and I feel like it's kind of like this every year. Like there were some good moments, some bad moments, but I've got a good feeling about 2025. I don't know why, but I'm excited for the new year. Like I'm ready to get 2024 in the rearview mirror and see what we've got in store for the new year.
I hope 2025 is going to be much better. Just got an email the other day. I haven't told anybody this. You're the first people to hear this, other than Mr. Wally Phelps himself. But script me and him wrote a while back. Just got as a semifinalist at the Zeb. Hold on, let me look up the exact name of it. It's called the Zedfest Film Festival for the screenplay competition. It is now officially our screenplay is now a semifinalist at the Zedfest Film Festival. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
Congrats.
Heading into the new year. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
it's got hopefully good
Yeah.
news in the next year.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
So you've been playing anything over the holidays? My holidays have been kind of busy, so really all I've gotten to play is Resident Evil 4.
To kind of go off on my last review, just Sonic and Shadow Generations for the most part, which I know we're going to do a spoiler cast at some point, but you and I both saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie, over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
And not to go too in depth in it, but it was incredible. As a Sonic fan, it was like everything that I wanted.
Yeah, I know we need to do a spoiler cast for it at some time if we can get to it in the next few days.
Yeah, and I do actually, for those that are watching on YouTube, I did get, if I can pick it up, I got the Sonic popcorn bucket from AMC.
Dude.
I was worried that they weren't going to be selling them. When I walked into the AMC, that's the first thing I did was I looked at the back of the concession stand. I'm like, I have to get it.
Yeah. I wanted one. I looked for one at the theater. They didn't have any more. They sold out. So did not get my hands on a Sonic popcorn bucket.
I'm just that tells you the priorities that I have when I go to the movie theater. Is this was the year of the popcorn bucket, though.
Yeah.
You had the Sonic one, you had the Deadpool and Wolverine one.
Mm-hmm.
There were some other really good ones too that aren't coming to mind.
Yeah, we got the Chucky one, and I
Yep.
did pick up a Batman bucket, just a bucket, not like a molded head bucket like that the Sonic and the Chucky one, but an actual bucket. I think I posted it in the Discord, and it's just kind of random. Like we were just at the theater's a Batman bucket with like all the Batman, the film adaptations of Batman on it, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, so I had to get it.
Yeah, they had that one, and then I think they had one that was molded like the Bat Signal.
Yeah.
That one was really cool.
They have so many of the Pennywise buckets. Every time we go to the theater, they still have Pennywise buckets everywhere. Like look, I love Pennywise, but I don't want to eat popcorn out of his head. I just don't want to do that.
No, that'd be a bit much.
But I hope everybody had a good holiday, good Christmas. Hope you got everything you wanted, and anything you want to share that you got for Christmas this year.
So one of the coolest things that I got actually is my wife ordered me a bunch of lens wipes for my glasses because I'm losing them all the time. But there's a brand called Jinkies, like Velma from Scooby-Doo, and they make different themed ones. And one that I'll show here looks like the OG Xbox controller.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they're great too. Like they're great for glasses, sunglasses, any type of lens you have. I've got that one, a couple that look like cassette tapes, one that looks like a Hawaiian shirt, one looks like a slice of pizza. So that was really cool. And they work really good and they look great too. So got that. Got a couple of books. Got a new battery for my gimbal that I use for video work, and all in all, the important thing was just I got to spend it with family. So
Nick and Tyler in the chat room are saying they don't really like popcorn. How do you not like popcorn? Popcorn's all, especially movie theater popcorn.
Movie theater popcorn, to quote the kids, it hits different.
Yeah.
Like I usually don't eat it around the house, but there's just something about when you're in a movie theater, when you've got a big bag of popcorn, a big soda, it makes the experience complete.
Dude, I went and got some of those the box of the Butterfinger the Butterfinger bites, I guess they're called.
Yeah.
At the movie theater, dude, they were so stale. Like I had to go back and get another box. Like you know how they're supposed to be just like crunchy and awesome. Well, I went not only were they melted like into just one big Butterfinger blob in the box, but I tried to eat one and it was so chewy. It was like eating a piece of shoe leather. I was like, "What is this?" So I had to take it back and get another box.
Oh, that sucks.
Like, I don't know how long this box has been here, but it's been at least a couple of years probably.
Yeah, I rarely get candy. If I do, it's got to be either Reese's Pieces or peanut butter M&Ms.
Yeah. Ooh, I love peanut butter M&Ms. They're so good.
Oh, I can inhale, like I'll get the serving size bag and just eat it myself.
Dude, I got the They Live Collector's Edition, like Ultra HD Blu-ray for Christmas.
Yeah, I saw that in your picture you sent.
I still haven't watched it yet. I still got to watch it. Maybe I'll get to watch it tonight.
Hopefully so.
But I got some Ninja Turtle socks. Then I got the board game Risk. So I'm good for a while.
Yeah, no, you got a good haul.
Yeah, I got a good haul for Christmas. But I hope you all had a good Christmas out there. And we got a little bit of news before the year's end. You want to go ahead and jump into that?
Sure.
Let's do it. And some of tonight's stories were provided to us by Mr. Armez Jackson and I Am the Rampage. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And the first story is from Nintendo Life. And as part of they have a little article called Best of 2024. And it says, Meet Morph Cat Games, the new gen NES devs pushing the 8-bit envelope. 4 decades after it became an international sales phenomenon, the Nintendo Entertainment System gave birth to some of the medium's biggest enduring franchises. The homebrew scene has flourished over the last 2 decades, especially so with the rise of tools like NES Maker. And inspired by pioneer developers, the minds behind MorphCat Games earned their stripes decoding from scratch using 6502 assembly language. Let's see. Enter Micro Mages, an homage to NES-era platformers. The 2019 game was the subject of a viral YouTube making-of video that showcased clever optimization techniques employed by developers Julius Reiki and Nicholas Betu, who, I hope I said that correctly, who tasked themselves with limiting their game to just 40 kilobytes and keeping with the file size of the iconic NES launch title Super Mario Bros. Can we speak on that for a minute? Why could they take all these old games and smashed them down and compressed them to like 40 kilobytes. But every game now is like, hey, I want to play the new Indiana Jones game, but I need to download 140 gigs. Like, why? Why are we not optimizing things these days?
A funny side story on that. So, my wife's a huge Harry Potter fan, and we got the Hogwarts Legacy game for the PS4. And so, like, I set it up and everything, put the game in, and of course, it has to do an update, which is several gigs. And I'm like, this is why I prefer to play games on the Switch, because I don't want to wait an hour and a half to play a game. Like, I think it's kind of ridiculous.
Just going through this article a little bit. This is a huge article, so I really highly recommend you guys go read it. But it says, apart from 2019's Micromages, the Morphcat duo has since published Bobble in 2020, a water physics-based Metroidvania with a striking soundtrack and emphasis on exploration, and Space Gulls in 2021, which fuses the controls of Joust with elements from the Mega Man series. Both were made for NES Dev Compo and were capped at a more lenient 64 kilobyte limit. And they just talk about they basically saying they haven't pushed the limits. They never really did push the limits of the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's what they're doing with these games. They're pushing the limit of what the NES could do. So if you're interested in that type of thing, definitely go check this article out.
Yeah, and it's got a couple of videos attached to it, too, that I want to check out after the show's done. This is really fascinating because for that exact reason that you mentioned, is that you kind of saw it late in the NES stage. After the Super Nintendo had come out, you see the graphics for the NES games look a little better, sound a little better. So they were pushing it closer to its limits, but I would love to see a maxed out NES game.
Yeah, I
just
think that's
for curiosity's sake.
I think that's what these guys are doing. So I would love to actually play some of these. Might have to go pick up a copy of Micromages because it actually looks pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And to have a new Nintendo game, how awesome is that?
Oh, absolutely. Our next story comes to us from VideoGamesChronicle.com. Sega says it's weighing up launching its own game subscription service. In an interview with the BBC, Sega president Shuji Utsumi says the Sonic maker is weighing up its own Netflix-like subscription offering. Platform holders Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo each have their own game subscription services, as do some third-party publishers like EA and Ubisoft. Sega America and Europe CEO Usumi told the BBC such subscription services were very interesting and that Sega was evaluating some opportunities. We're thinking something and discussing something we cannot disclose right now. Sega is currently working on new entries in the Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Shinobi, Crazy Taxi, and Virtua Fighter series. And Sega isn't currently planning to release any more mini consoles. So what do you think?
I'm all for a Sega subscription service. Why not? Put everything on there. Everything Sega's ever done.
I think, and longtime listeners know, like, I'm as big a Sonic fan as you'll probably meet. But they've got other stuff that they can put out there. It may not be as recognizable, but you're not going to get people to know about it unless you put it out there for them to check out.
And I hope it's not stupid, like $15, $20 a month. This needs to be something that's like $5 a month, if that.
The max it should be is 10.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to charge $10, you got to have a lot of stuff that's like available day one.
Yeah.
To justify that. Otherwise, you pay $4.99, and then you maybe add stuff like once a month.
So is this? I imagine this would be something you could just play, access through the PS5 or the Xbox or the new Switch. I mean, I imagine that it would be something like that. They're not going to launch their own, online-only console to access it. That would be suicide. Yeah,
that would be... We talk about bad business decisions. That might be the worst one of the year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it looks like it's not going to be anytime soon, but we'll keep an eye on it.
I think it's a good idea, though.
Yeah. Let's see. Also from NintendoLife.com, SNK announces ACA Neo Geo Selection Volume 3 and 4 for Switch. SNK announced the new ACA Neo Geo selections. New volumes will be launching exclusively in Japan on the 10th of April 2025, with each collection featuring 10 games previously released on the Switch eShop. Let's see. On Volume 3, there's games such as 3 Count Bout, Baseball Stars 2, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters 96, Samurai Showdown 3, Blades of Blood, and on the Volume 4, there's Art of Fighting 3, King of Fighters 2000, Metal Slug, Ninja Commando, Polestar, the Super Spy, and let's see, it said, it's going to launch in April, so as like we saw with the first two, the American version's not too far behind that, so I imagine probably by late next year we'll be getting this in America.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting, and Tyler says in the chat he loves the Neo Geo. I think it's a good idea. It's got a good variety of titles. I think it's got a good number of titles too for each volume.
And the thing is,
so why not?
Back when I was a kid, the Neo Geo was one of those systems that's like, it was like $1,000 when I was a kid. Games were like $200, so I never got to play any of these unless it was in the arcade. So now to have these Neo Geo collections, this is awesome to want to go back and actually play these games that I couldn't play as a kid.
Well, 100%. Yeah, and I missed out on the Neo Geo, so this would be a whole new world for me.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody that had a Neo Geo back in the day because it was so expensive. You couldn't even dream of it. You had to be your parents had to be rich for you to have a Neo Geo.
If only we had rich friends.
Yeah, I didn't have none. No rich friends.
Same. Yeah. Let's see, from mynintendonews.com, Pac-Man Shadow Labyrinth physical for Switch detailed and pre-orders open. Shadow Labyrinth, the Pac-Man reboot announced at the Game Awards 2024, has unveiled what its physical offerings will be like for the Switch. Aside from a standard edition, there'll also be a collector's version titled Secret Edition, likely a reference to the TV series Secret Level, which I've heard is really good. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
I did see that one. I've only seen that one and the Warhammer 40K one. I didn't get to watch any of the others. I'm gonna finish it, but because I really want to watch the Mega Man one. But that Pac-Man one, I personally really liked it, but it's very, very divisive online. People either love it or they hate it. There's no in between.
I need to watch it. The Secret Edition comes with the game, obviously, a case, digital soundtrack, an art book, enamel pin set, 18 by 12 double-sided map / poster, a blacklight keychain, that's pretty cool, a glow-in-the-dark sticker sheet, and an iridescent sticker sheet, plus a booklet case. The standard is available to purchase for roughly $31.60, which is kind of an odd...
Yeah.
Like an odd amount. While the Secret Edition,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Why not just do $35.99?
Yeah, something.
While the Secret Edition is $59.79. The latter includes free shipping. So the Secret Edition is, you pay that for a standard new game at this point, and you get all the extra stuff. So I'd say if you want it, get all the extra stuff and just pay what you would pay for a normal game anyway.
Yeah, and I'm just interested to see what this game is going to be like because that show was very, very interesting as far as what they did with Pac-Man. Like, forget what you think or know about Pac-Man because it's out there. It's way out there, man.
Well, and I'm looking at the screen cap at the top of the article, and I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you would never be able to guess what goes on unless you see it. Until you see it, you can't even begin to guess what happens in it.
I'll watch it in the next day or so, and I'll let you know what I think.
Let me know what you think, because like I said, everything I've heard about it, people either love it or hate it. There's no in between.
The internet would never be divisive about anything.
No, not at all.
Let's see. You're up next.
Oh, am I? Oh, okay. Last one, I guess.
Yep.
This is from timeextension.com. Usually we only do 4 news stories,
Yeah.
so I got discombobulated for a minute. For $275, you can have a PSP in home console form. The Sony PSP turned 20 recently. I guess that qualifies it as retro at this point.
If no one played the PSP, did it really exist? No, I'm kidding. I have nothing against the PSP, so don't
I
come
didn't
after
either.
me, please.
Yet many people feels like it still feels like a product for the future from the future. I can't read tonight. Yet for many people, it still feels like a product from the future. I finally got that sentence out. The sleek design was a real breath of fresh air back in 2004, and many of the games still look incredible given the comparatively humble nature of the hardware. Let's see. You might want to check out the PSP Placeable, a consoleized PSP mod, 2,000 or 3,000 models only, as those are the ones with video out, which places the device inside a 3D printed case that matches its big brother, the PS2. Created by Retro ModWorks, the PSP Placeable retains compatibility with UMD discs and adds Bluetooth controller support. Let's see. It would seem there are plenty of people interested in this mod, as over 100 orders have been placed within 24 hours. Let's see. That is the complete stock of broken PSPs I have. What did this guy say? He says, the head of Retro ModWorks said, that is the complete stock of broken PSPs I have squirreled away over the past year for this project. You can send your own PSP for the mod if you'd prefer, and that will naturally mean a cheaper overall cost. So I guess what they do is if you want to send your PSP in, they will mod it for you.
That's interesting. Like I remember the PSP when it came out, and those that I knew had one loved it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool, but I never really had the desire to get one.
I didn't either. I know a few people that had one, and mostly they just used it to watch movies. They didn't really play games on it.
Yeah. The days before tablets and smartphones.
But yeah, I didn't even see that part in the article here when I looked over about you actually send your own PSP in. So that's not bad. I mean, if you have a PSP sitting around, you want to mod it to where you can actually play it on your TV. I mean, it's kind of cool, but then again, I mean, it basically is what, a PS2 inside of it. So why not just get a PS2?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could probably get one for a reasonable price at your local retro gaming store.
Yeah, I mean, they made like 85 million of them. I'm sure you can run across one for relatively cheap these days.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Tyler says he got a PSP at launch.
Nice. How much did you pay for that thing? Those were I think they were pretty expensive, weren't they?
I think so.
Probably why I never got one.
I was just into the Game Boy and the DS
Yeah, I wasn't
by that
mobile.
point, so
I wasn't mobile gaming at the time.
yeah, understandable.
But now it is time to go into our last This Month in Video Game History for 2024. On December 9th of 1988, Tecmo releases Ninja Gaiden for the NES Famicom, which I got that Christmas.
Your white whale.
Yeah, it took me 30 freaking years to beat it.
But it was worth it though.
Worth every year.
Because that was during the peak of COVID, right?
Yep.
When that happened.
It was like it was like maybe a month or two into COVID when I pretty much was doing nothing but streaming games.
Yeah, because I remember we were both streaming, I think, like once a week.
Yeah.
Because I remember I streamed Link to the Past, and I think maybe one other game.
Yeah.
But for some reason, what I remember the most from that time was I got kicked out of my Twitch account. So I created a new one, and I got onto one of your streams, and you talked to me like I was just a random stranger, and I told everybody else that was really me.
I do remember when you did one where you were doing Link to the Past, and I think I was on Zoom with you, or Discord and just kind of commenting along with you?
Yep. Because I did that with you when you were streaming Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that was fun. We should do that again.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that. On December 2nd, 1989, the world premiere of the Universal Pictures film The Wizard is held at the Cineplex Odeon Theater. What a name for a theater. That is so like 80s and 90s. In Universal City, California. Universal City, California. The film, starring Fred Savage, Luke Edwards, Jenny Lewis, Christian Slater, and Beau Bridges, tells the story of two brothers who travel to a video game tournament. And we actually recently celebrated the anniversary of when we did the commentary track.
Yes. Still my favorite thing was our commentary track.
100%.
The only one we ever got to do in the same room together.
I know. Random side note, I've actually, because Jenny Lewis is a singer now, I've actually seen her in concert.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I didn't even know she was a singer until you told me.
I didn't either. And then I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? And I looked her up after the concert, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
She was in The Wizard.
I love that
Yeah, she was touring with Harry Styles, so that's not a bad tour to be a part of.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's see, December 7th of 1993, the first of two congressional hearings on video games takes place. Topics for discussion include a depiction of violence and sexual content in video games, their influence on children, and the prospect of governmental regulation for video game content. So you see, this is not new. They do this all the time. Every time they think there's something wrong with the kids, they blame it on video games. But hey, I grew up fine. I don't run around stomping on turtles. But, I can't say the same about Fox News, brainwashing my boomer parents. But, we're just going to leave that on the table.
Yeah, or blame the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't blame the video games. Don't blame anything else.
Yep.
Yeah, I pictured if they had done like an SNL skit of this, would have been like, I present to you Exhibit A, Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah. I remember they did use Mortal Kombat 2 in the hearings. And what else did they use at the time? I forgot what they were using.
Oh, Street Fighter had to have been out by that point, right?
It wasn't. It might have been, because I remember Night Trap causing a lot of controversy.
Yep.
But I don't remember what year Night Trap came out.
I think I've told this story before on the show, but when I had a public speaking class in college, we had to do a persuasive speech for our final exam, and I did it on this topic. Was video games, do they cause violence? And I essentially said, sure, if your kid is more susceptible to that kind of stuff or more impressionable, but that's also the parent's responsibility.
Yeah, they cause violence if you consider throwing your controller across the room in a fit of rage.
Well, I mean, if that happens, then we're both guilty of that.
Yep.
And then right before I did my speech, my teacher had brought her kid in and asked if anybody knew how to hook up their GameCube. And everyone just like slowly turned to me, and I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
December 29th of 1999, AM2 of CRI and Sega release Shenmue for the Dreamcast. Our friend Joey Image has praised this game quite a few times.
I know it's really good. I need to play it. He sent me some copies of it when I got the Dreamcast from him. So one of these days I need to review it. But I know it's a long game too, so I need to carve out a little time for it.
Could play it, start of the year and maybe review it in like February or March.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
December 5th of 2002, LucasArts releases Star Wars Bounty Hunter for the GameCube in North America. I played the crap out of Bounty Hunter. I don't know about you.
Oh, Bounty Hunter was honestly, a very underrated Star Wars game.
That might be something we need to review.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we talk about Knights of the Old Republic, Force Unleashed, Shadows of the Empire. Bounty Hunter rarely gets mentioned.
Yeah.
Even though, to me, quality-wise, it's up there.
It's way up. It's better than it had any right to be.
And I like that we actually get a Star Wars game that doesn't have to do with the Jedi or the Force.
Yep.
Which, speaking of Star Wars, to wrap us up for this month in video game history
Speaking
for
of Jedi.
2024, yeah, December 6th of 2004, Obsidian Entertainment and LucasArts release Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, for the Xbox.
I love it. Love that game. So good.
Now, both 1 and 2, like, to me, they're 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd give a slight edge to the first one, but 2 was really good also.
And I think if you've never played them, you should go back and play them because they're great. And you can get them now. I mean, they're cheap. You can get them for like $5 each anywhere, like Steam, on Nintendo Switch. I mean, pretty much everywhere you can get these games.
Yeah, for sure. An idea for a top 5 we could do down the line, top 5 Star Wars games.
I'm for it. Let's do it. We don't have to do it next. We got one we're already doing next.
Yeah.
We'll do the next one.
Yeah.
But before we go into our review for tonight, Derek, you want to do our Patreon shout-outs?
As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Romualdo Marquez, the fact checker of the Nerd Cave Retro Show, Mr. Wally Phelps, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr., as he is known on our Discord channel, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B. Res Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. I know we just had the holiday season. You probably spent a good portion of money on your gifts, but for as little as $1 a month, you get your own RSS feed with an ad-free version of the podcast.
Hey, and if you know somebody that listens to the show and they don't have a Patreon, you can now gift Patreon accounts to people, or not accounts, but subscriptions to people. And it's one of our posts that I just posted it a few weeks right before Christmas. If you want to gift somebody at a subscription, just go follow that link.
Absolutely. And you also get early access to our bonus episodes, which for the most part includes a commentary track from a TV series, movie for Christmas. The two of us, plus our friend Joey Image, watched the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special.
I went back and listened to it the other day. I was like, man, I probably should have put an explicit tag on that before I put it out on the public feed. I was like,
if you want to hear me be an annoying optimist, check out that episode.
Yeah, you were being mighty optimistic during that show because Derek kept saying it's going to all tie together in the end. And let me tell you, spoilers, it didn't. It did not tie together in the end.
It's like they tried to put a bow on the box, and then their hand just slipped, and then it just all kind of came apart.
Yeah.
But usually,
fun, we had fun though.
Yeah. It was the commentary tracks, regardless if the movie or show's good or bad. We have a blast doing it. So you could check that out and numerous other commentary tracks that we've done over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight I'm going to be talking about that spooky music can only mean one thing. It is the Resident Evil 4 remake of the original game that came out for the GameCube back in 2005, was it, I believe? I'm just trying to look it up here. I don't know when the exact. I don't know an original. I think it was 2005. Yeah, it was.
It is 2005. Yeah.
2005. Which this was the first one that actually did the over the shoulder aesthetic, because originally the first 3 games plus Code Veronica were all tank controls. This was the one that took the camera and locked it behind the person for third person, and it was kind of revolutionary. And it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they kept it for this one too. And let me tell you, they took that third person and remade 2 and 3 with it and made them so much better. But let me tell you something about this game. You know how I've always said that I played through Resident Evil 2 a lot back in the day on the N64. One of my favorite games of the 90s. One of my favorite games of all time. I love the remake. I've played through it several times. But there's some kind of special sauce with this one, Resident Evil 4, to where I can't stop playing it. I'm already in my second playthrough. Almost done with my second New Game Plus playthrough. And I can't stop playing it because guess what? There's Indiana Jones out right now that I played for about 2 hours the first day it came out. I want to play that game. I've been waiting on that game for 2 years now. But I can't play it because I'm still playing Resident Evil 4, and I can't stop playing it, Derek. Help me. Help me, Derek. Help me.
Gonna have to put it in a lockbox.
I don't know what to do. I can't stop playing it.
Do we need to come over and have an intervention?
Maybe. You might actually have to have an intervention with me on this game because I can't stop playing it. I don't know what it is. Look, I liked it when it was back on the GameCube. I thought it was it's probably one of the best GameCubes other than the Resident Evil 1 remake they did for the GameCube back in like 2004. There's a lot of great games on the GameCube. GameCube's great. Resident Evil 4 was one of the best games for that system. But I've only played through it once because it didn't quite grab me the way Resident Evil 2 did. But I don't know what it is this time around. There's just something about this game. I love the atmosphere. I can't really say the music because there's not really any music, but just the soundscape, the atmosphere, that it's sort of like a John Carpenter movie, if that makes any sense.
With a game like this, it doesn't really need music. The ambiance is the soundtrack.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, it's not really the original games where it was zombies. This is more of a virus. And it's set in like an Eastern, nameless Eastern European country. So there's a lot of different environments you go through in the game. There's castles, and then there's underground caves, and there's factories. There's like all kind of crazy places you go through in this game. And there's just so much more to it than the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. Like there's an upgrade system for weapons. Like that's something we need to discuss. As you go through the game, there's this guy, the merchant, that you go to. You collect money throughout the game by smashing vases and killing people and all that kind of stuff. They drop this money. It's called like pesetas or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it's called. But you collect money. You collect things to sell. You sell them to him, this merchant that you run into in just random places. You'll be like in a cave underground, which nobody's been in for like 100 years. And this dude's just down there selling stuff. He's like, oh, come get yourself something, mate. And you're just like, all right, I just ran into this weird looking dude down in the, in the caves under the island here. Like that's perfectly normal, I guess. Like, what is that about?
That needs to be a soundbite. Hey, come get you something, mate.
Yeah, that's what he does. It's just like, you don't want to be, your valuables aren't any good to you if you're dead.
I think if I found a merchant in a random cave that no one's been in a century, I do the Homer Simpson, like back up into the bushes and just be like,
yeah.
No, I'm good. I will say this, you've been talking about this remake for a while, on this show and in our group chat. And I know how big of a fan you are of Resident Evil 2 specifically. And I was curious as to what is so, I guess, special about this remake that makes it so much better than the original version?
I've been trying to put my finger on it, and I can't. I don't know what it is. Don't get me wrong. I love 2. But there's been
Right.
times where I'll go through a second playthrough, and I hate to say this, but I get kind of bored halfway through, and then I'll just leave it for a couple of weeks, even months before I get back to it. But this one, I finished the first game and then immediately went back in for New Game Plus, and I haven't stopped. I'm still playing through the second playthrough, and this is probably twice as long as Resident Evil 2. I mean, it's a good probably 15, 16-hour long game. It's pretty beefy. But just, I don't know. There's just something about this game, the environment, the upgrade the system, the mini games you can do. The merchant has these shooting galleries set up in certain places where you can go in and do challenges where you can get these little pendant, like little charms that you can hang off of your briefcase that you keep all your stuff in. And it's like plus, you'll get one that's like plus 20 to your chance to, I don't know, get resources or something like that. Like you get like little bonuses for hanging these little charms off of your briefcase.
And when you say New Game Plus, that's you start the game over, but you keep everything
Yes.
from the original playthrough?
Yes, everything you get to keep. So when I went through the second playthrough, I still had a rocket launcher that I hadn't used. I still had 2 heavy grenades that I hadn't used. Two of my guns were completely maxed out. So when I got to that first village that everybody kind of runs after you, if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. You get to the very first village, and the policemen you're looking after, they light them on fire. And they string them up and light them on fire. You see this happen. And then first playthrough, I did a whole lot of sneaking around and try to get through this village, because if you make any noise or kill somebody or shoot your gun, the entire village is going to come down on your head, and it's very hard at that point to survive. This time, I just walked in, threw a grenade in the middle of the courtyard, backed up into the little valley that I came through, so everybody kind of bottlenecked in there. And then I just shot my rocket launcher into the middle of all of them. And there was just blood and guts and mayhem everywhere. And it was awesome. And I was like, I think that was the point where I was like, I love this game more than anything else in the world.
Sometimes a little chaos is needed.
Yeah.
Just shoot a rocket launcher in the middle of everything.
Yep.
I wish more games would do that, because that's such a cool concept, being able to play through a game again, but keep everything from the first playthrough and maybe add a couple of new features. I think it's very cool that Resident Evil does that, but I'm also surprised that more games don't.
Yeah. And that's the coolest thing about it, is being able to go through the game a second time with everything that you already accumulated the first time. And it just makes the game so much more fun, even the second time around. Like, it's not easier. I mean, it does get harder the second time you go through, because you have all of your stuff. But, it just, I don't know. There's something about going through that second playthrough with all your cool weapons that you spent so much time getting better in the first playthrough, that, you're coming up on the very first set of enemies and you're like, I have a freaking rocket launcher right now. I can just kill everybody here.
Yeah, I haven't played this game, but I did watch about an hour of gameplay this afternoon before we did the show. And I love that, and this might be a cliche thing to say, but this is also coming from somebody that doesn't have as much knowledge of Resident Evil. The game very much plays out like a movie.
It does.
Like the graphics are really good.
Mm-hmm.
They have almost kind of like a CG animated kind of look to it, but I love the voice acting, the ambiance with you can hear almost kind of like things in the background. All of a sudden you hear the from the zombies.
Yep.
It's all put together so well. So I honestly had just as much fun sitting there and watching it. I felt like I was watching a zombie movie.
Yeah, and the cutscenes are awesome. Like, there's just so much good stuff in this game. And Raven in the chat room says, "What are you buying and what are you selling with the merchant?" Like, you go through the game and you just get little you find treasures all over there's treasure all over this game, hanging above you and little things that you shoot down. There's treasure chests everywhere. You get all kind of cool stuff. These little things you can put rubies in, like what do they call them? Like tiaras and stuff like that. You're like little statues of like cats and stuff, and you get little stones, like little gems and stuff that you pick up along the way, and you can inlay them into the things you find. And sometimes you get like really big bonuses if you can like match all the colors and everything like that. So you turn around and you sell all that stuff to him, and then you use that money to just upgrade your weapons. You can get like body armor. You can upgrade your regular knife that you use throughout the game. And it's just everything it's little RPG elements throughout the game, like upgrading all of your equipment. It's just awesome.
That actually sounds really cool. Like from watching the gameplay, it intrigues me more than any of the other Resident Evils as far as wanting to play them. I know I've played one that I think I reviewed either this year or last year for Horror Month, but this remake looked really good.
And it's got a lot of weird like religious imagery in it, and a lot of the things is like it's weird because the game is set in like the late 90s. There's still like, flip phones and things like that in the game, but it's set in the late 90s, and you're going around and you're in this like rundown villages and things, and you run across like pictures that people have in their homes, and it'll say like, such and such family, 1981. But it's a picture that looks like it's from like the 1800s. It's just like old and black and white and just like decrepit looking. And it's like, what is this world I'm in right now?
That is interesting. Tell me about the boss fights in this game.
The boss fights are not as hard as you would think they would be, but they're so grand and epic. It's like you're fighting some huge monsters in this game. Like, of course, if you've ever played the game before, you come across this huge... First one you come across is when you get to the lake, you have to throw harpoons at this huge, like, alligator thing that's got the T-virus or whatever in it. It's dragging you in the boat, and you're trying to avoid running into like buoys and things like that, and you're trying to throw what are they, like harpoons and stuff at it, and trying to dodge it as it's trying to eat you in the boat. And like, it's not that hard, but man, is it heart pumping, like as you're doing, like, man, this is just great and awesome.
I love boss fights like that. Even if they're not the most difficult, if they make it a cool experience, yes, with the music and just the kind of the cinematic style of it, to me that makes up for the lack of difficulty.
Yeah, and I think that's mainly what they were going for with this game. Is there are some parts where there are some bosses that are pretty tough, but as long as you understand the mechanics of the boss fight, like if you die on a boss, you'll survive the next time through because you're like, oh, okay, I understand the mechanics now. But it's just, I think it's like you said, it's more about the experience and just the visuals of it and the sound and like just the epicness of it. They don't want you to like bang your head against the wall trying to defeat these crazy bosses, like, because you don't want people to like, you don't want it to be so hard that people are going to give up, but you don't want it to be too easy. So you want to kind of find that right balance of where it feels like you're accomplishing something, but it's not that difficult. But you think it's more difficult than it actually is, and I think they did that with this game.
So let me ask you this. With Resident Evil 4 getting a remake and it improving the experience, a pretty good amount, what game do you want, or what Resident Evil game do you want to get this treatment?
They need to remake 1 and Code Veronica. They need to just bite the bullet and do it. Just remake both of those. Why not? Since both of those games aren't that huge, they could just do both of those and put them out on one disc. Why not? Just put them out at the exact same time.
I'm surprised they haven't done that. I know they did the remake for the GameCube, but that was, what, 20 years ago?
Yeah, and it's worth playing. I mean, we reviewed it on the show here. It's definitely worth playing, but I would love to see Resident Evil 1 in this style, but they would definitely have to add a lot to it to make it as big as this game would be, or the Resident Evil 2 remake, because it takes place in one place. Like, it's not that big of a game. It would be over pretty quick if you just kind of did this sort of treatment for it. So that's why I think they could get away with remaking 1 and Code Veronica at the same time and just putting them out on the same disc.
Well, if you look at kind of the revolutionary effect that the first Resident Evil had, I think if you did a remake in this style of the original, that would garner a pretty decent amount of attention, because when people think of Resident Evil, they think of that first game.
Yeah.
Even if, say, 2 is better, or 4 is better, people will remember the original because it's the original. And why they haven't done that already, I have no idea.
Yeah, and this game kind of feels closer to Resident Evil 7. I think, was it Biohazard? That was Resident Evil 7. Well, it took place in the bayou.
So.
This feels closer to that game than it does like Resident Evil 1 through 3, which I really do like the direction that Resident Evil has gone, because 5, 6, and 7 were kind of trash. I hate to say that. They were not good games. I would love to see them go back and just completely do a whole nother trilogy, or even just one or two more games after Resident Evil 4, and just kind of pretend that 5, 6, and 7 just don't exist. Just pretend they don't exist. Go back to those original games and put some new games out with those characters in that world. Give me some new things to do with, Leon and Claire and all the people that survived those first couple of games.
I mean, they did it with the Halloween movies. Yeah. Why can't you do it with Resident Evil?
Do it with a video game. Why not? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. As far as the reception of this game, it says here Resident Evil 4 received universal acclaim from critics, according to review aggregator website Metacritic. Destructoid gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Easy Allies gave it a perfect 10.
Wow.
Which is nuts. Game Informer gave it a 9.5. Game Revolution a 9. GameSpot 10 out of 10. IGN 10 out of 10.
I mean, they're
PC
not
Gamer
wrong.
80 out of 100. And then The Telegraph, The Guardian, Video Games Chronicle, and VG 24/7, all 5 out of 5 stars.
You're gonna be, unless you just hate the Resident Evil games and you hate this style of game, there's not much you're gonna find wrong with this game. And if you've never played any of the Resident Evil games, just real quick overview. The game takes place with the protagonist of Resident Evil 2, Leon Kennedy. He was a rookie cop in Resident Evil 2 who, it was basically his first day on the job when Raccoon City went to shit and all the zombie outbreak happened. This is 6 years later. He is he's kind of a special agent for the government, I guess, investigating things like the Umbrella Corporation, things like that. Well, the president's daughter has been kidnapped, and he goes after her, and it's in this Eastern European country. It's called, I don't even know if they name it. It just says rural Spain, and it says, and he goes there to rescue her, and of course, there's this weird cult with the T-virus, and just insanity ensues at that point. So just kind of go into it knowing that there's a lot of story in this game. There's a lot of weirdness in this game. It's got atmosphere. It's scary. It's action filled. It's Derek. This game gets a solid 10 from me.
Wow.
Solid.
Perfect 10.
Solid 10. I can't praise this game enough. The only way you're going to hate this game is if you don't like Resident Evil. But if you like these type of games, there's not much here to hate. This is an absolute masterpiece of a remake.
I don't know what to say to that. I'm surprised.
I'm into 2024 strong with a perfect 10 out of 10. And I'm going to keep playing this game.
I respect that.
Until I'm tired of it. And then I can eventually go on to finish playing Indiana Jones, which I don't know when that's going to be because I can't stop playing Resident Evil 4.
One last little thing I'll throw out there under the accolades. It was nominated for, 11 awards that include like Game of the Year, Best Audio Design, Best Action Adventure Game, etc. It won Award for Excellence at the Japan Game Awards in September of 2023, PlayStation Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards in November of 2023, and at the New York Game Awards in January 23rd of this year, it won the Freedom Tower Award for Best Remake. So it sounds to me like it's well worth the praise of getting a perfect 10.
I would say this is probably other than a certain other game that I talked about a lot at the beginning of this year, which still was kind of was the best game of 2023 that I played, called Sea of Stars. I did play it in January of this year, but that I'm going to say, as far as just the games that I played in 2024, this is the best game of my 2024 is Resident Evil 4.
That's awesome. I'm glad we could end the year with a good game and not a bad one.
And if you've never played the original, I do want to point out that there's a sale going on. I don't know if it's still going on, but it still had like 18 days left the last time when I bought it about a week and a half or so ago. They do have the original Resident Evil 4 on the Microsoft Store for the Xbox for $5. So if you want to play the original before you play the remake, if you've never played it, $5. Can't beat it.
That's awesome.
So that's it. We're closing out 2024 strong with a 10 out of 10. What do you
think? Love it.
Well, what we're going to do when we come back in the new year, which is next week, Derek, you want to tell them what we're doing for our top 5?
Yeah, so I'm really excited for this. This is something we kind of briefly talked about a couple of weeks ago on the show. Top 5 missed opportunities in movies and TV. I can already tell you what my number 1 is. It's been talked about numerous times on this show.
So what are our parameters for it, though? Because I know we're going to get asked. So are we just going to stick to missed opportunities as far as video game stuff on movies and TV?
I kind of want to open it up to just whatever.
All right, let's do it. Just missed opportunities, anything.
It doesn't change what my number 1 is, but
God, this is going to be a hard list to make.
I know. I've been looking at other lists to kind of jog my memory. There's a few that I can think of off the top of my head, but I don't know how I would number them.
All right. So you heard it here, everybody. Top 5 missed opportunities in movies and TV next Monday.
Yeah, so send in your list to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. You can join our Discord, and there's a sub page for simply top 5 submissions. You can submit them there. You can send them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however you want to get a hold of us. And then the following week, I'm going to be reviewing a GameCube game that I have wanted to talk about for well over a year on this show, and that would be Star Fox Adventures, which has a very interesting backstory to it that I'm excited to talk about, as well as the game itself.
It's one of my girlfriend's favorite games of all time.
It's surprisingly a lot of fun.
I watched her play it not too long ago on the GameCube.
I will say this, going into it, I was not excited about it, but it pleasantly surprised me. So I'm curious to see how it holds up. I'm going to start playing it this weekend.
It's pretty interesting. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Not as bad as people said it was. Like a lot of people are like, nah, I didn't like Star Fox Adventure. I liked it. I think it's pretty neat.
It's also rare swan song for Nintendo.
Yeah, no kidding. Anything else before we get out of here, Derek? What you got? Anything you want to tell the peoples before we leave for this year?
Yeah, so if you live in the Pensacola area, we do have tickets on sale for Plain Jane, which is a short film that my wife Samantha wrote and directed that we filmed this past summer. It's going to be at the University of West Florida campus in their auditorium. You can go to facebook.com/plainjanemovie and you'll see an event link. And from there, you can purchase tickets. The date is February 1st. Doors open at 6, and we'll play the movie at 7 and do a Q&A with the cast afterwards. I'm excited for people to see it. I think the movie is really good. So if you're in the area, come check it out and get your tickets.
Awesome. I don't have anything to tell everybody what I'm doing yet, except for the Open Micers podcast that I do with Mr. Jacob Craig over on the Open Micers podcast, openmicers.com, at Open Micers podcast on Instagram, at Open Micers podcast on Threads, and I think I don't really do much on X or Twitter, whatever they call it these days. So go follow us on one of those places. Go check out the podcast. We actually are going to be doing our Guest of the Year. We already did the voting. We know who it is, but we haven't revealed it to the public yet. That's going to be coming up next week on the show. So go check it out. Somebody that was our guest last year is getting a rotisserie chicken and a T-shirt that says, I got nominated, or I got Guest of the Year on the Open Micers podcast, and all I got was this lousy rotisserie chicken. And so
hey, there's nothing lousy about a rotisserie chicken.
But yeah, go check it out, the Open Micers podcast, openmicers.com. Derek, is that it for 2024? Are we done with this year?
I think so.
I don't want to leave it, but we gotta leave it at the door here.
I'm going to be optimistic about. I'm going to pull from the He-Man commentary. I'm going to be optimistic about 2025.
Well, let's say goodbye to 2024 together, everybody, and say hello to 2025. And you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All the socials, our Patreon, ways to give us money, our merch shop, which you can go to ncrmerch.com. Over there, we got all kind of designs. We have t-shirts, hats, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy heart desires. And if you can't do that, can't be a patron, you're like, man, times are tough. The holidays like broke me. My wallet's empty. I get it. I understand. If you can't do that, go leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all the podcasting platforms. And Derek, please. Oh, I did want to say thank you to everybody that submitted and got stickers for letting us know that that we were in your top 5 for the year. So thank all of you, and I hope you enjoy your stickers. And everybody was getting them the last few days. So thank you so much. Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Merry New Year!
Yeah, like some beef jerky.
They conducted rituals up on the roof. Bizarre rituals intended to bring about the end of the world, and now it looks like it may actually happen.
So be good, for goodness sake. Whoa, somebody's
We
coming.
have to get out of here. We've got to find a judge or something.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey.
I don't know why that's my favorite Ghostbusters clip. I've been singing that for like 2 weeks now. Like, so somebody's coming.
Did you do something different with the setup? Because I could hear all the music perfectly.
Oh, you could? Good.
Yeah.
I was wondering because I actually changed my setting in Zoom, so you could actually should be able to hear it now. I put it on.
I could hear everything perfectly.
Awesome. So that works now. Good. Thank you, Zoom, for fixing that.
Only took y'all 4 years, but
thank you.
I know when you started playing the intro theme, I'm like
you can hear it.
All right.
I was going to ask you if you could hear it, but I figured it was like, oh, well, I guess you still can't hear it. So, but you say you can hear it. That's awesome.
I didn't want to be like, hey, I can hear the music now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it came through loud and clear.
Well, thank you all for hanging out in the chat room with us. Tyler and Bethany Fox was in the chat room.
Yeah,
Raven, all you
fantastic.
guys. Who else was in there tonight? We had Nick, and oh man, it was a full chat room tonight. Thank you guys. We need to get Joey back in there. He needs to start doing his other podcast on a different night other than Monday, so he can be back in the chat room again. Miss him. But thank you guys. Have a great new year. Be safe out there, and we will see you all in